Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome back to another Disney Lorcana video. Today we're going to be talking about the sealed investing side of Disney Lorcana. What booster boxes should you be buying? Which booster boxes are better being bought to be opened? What are expected values of our booster boxes? What boxes are better left as collectibles? I know a lot of you guys like these videos. We haven't done one in about a month, so I figured it'd be a good time to just kind of level set where we're at now that set 10's out. It's been out for about a week and a half here in terms of LGS release. So today we're going to start with the newest set 10, Whispers in the Well, and we're going to work our way back. We're probably not going to talk about every set in detail, but I will at least give you the expected value for the sets and kind of my general prognosis. A lot of it hasn't changed since the last video, but nevertheless, I know a lot of you guys like these style of videos. So, Whispers in the Well. Right now, a booster box on TCG Player for Whispers in the Well is about 125, holding very, very steady, selling very, very consistently. A whole bunch of sales even just today. It says that it's averaging 9 sales per day, but that's obviously very skewed as it got listed before it could even sell. And then we had it's a 3-month sample size. That's probably not going to help. 24 boxes a day. That makes a lot more sense. So once again, it's selling very, very. The whole point of that was to say it's selling very, very well. People are fans of the new set. There's still a ton available, guys. No supply issues here, right? No wave releases for Whispers in the Well, but the price is still holding very, very strong at $125-ish, which is really, really good. The health of the game is just very, very strong right now. This is a price point where it's below MSRP, but it's above distribution price. And so, this is kind of the best for both worlds. Consumers are saving a little bit of money on, the MSRP price, which is irrelevant, but, it's, that's in theory, that's what it's supposed to cost. But then the LGSs are, they're getting it for $80 or $90 from their distributor, and then they're selling it for $120, $125 a piece. There's margins there for everybody. I feel like it's in a really, really good spot. There's a big demand for the game. LGSs are not just panic selling it down to, $60, $70. And overall, it just feels really, really healthy. Obviously, a lot of really defining cards coming out of set 10. So with that being said, expected value right now for Whispers in the Well is about $152. It only went down $3 overnight. Which, if you're not familiar, whenever we have these, whenever we're early in a release, it's very common for the price to start super high as those first couple sales happen of individual cards, and then it tears off. And so right now, sitting at 152 is very, very strong for a set. I think it's going to continue just kind of gradually fall off. But basically what that tells you is, assuming average pull rates, if you go out and buy a box for 125 right now, obviously keep in mind that we still are in pre-sale for a couple more days here on TCG Player, but if you were to get this box on Friday at 120, assuming a large enough sample size, your average expected value per box is 152. And that's one of the best things about Disney Lorcana. That's one of the reasons why I love opening Disney Lorcana. I know it's one of the reasons I know a lot of you all feel the same way in terms of this is one of the only card games that you can be profitable opening packs. Now, that's not to say that you're guaranteed to win and it's guaranteed to be profitable, because it's not, right? There's going to be some times where, look, you just got the bad box or the bad case. Look, I've been on the receiving end of both sides of that. I've had some really, really awesome boxes. I've had some really, really bad boxes, right? Or cases, whatever. But that's the game you play. But assuming, a good enough sample size, you definitely can come out in the green with Lorcana, which is really, really good. Best case of that right now is, look no further than set 10, Whispers in the Well. Moving over to a set here that I think is going to be your next best bet to open. Fabled, still sitting at about 125, the exact same price as Whispers in the Well right now. Fabled at over, just in the last 3 months, almost at 2,300 boxes sold. Very, very high sell-through rate there at 74 daily boxes sold over the last 3 months, which is wild. Expected value for Fabled is at $108. So it has actually came down a little bit since I looked at it. So you're a little bit in the red, but if it's, expected value is 108, your box price is, 125. Obviously, if you can find one that has a lot of shipping, like this one, Hobbiesville, but you can get multiple quantities, get your cost basis down, right? If you bought all 47, your cost basis is going to be pretty much flat at 114, and your expected value is at 108. That, you're in a really, really good spot there. In terms of sealed investing, I definitely would not recommend, we're not looking to keep any Fabled, sealed right now in terms of the short term. Whispers in the Well, some of these newer sets, Reign of Jafar, we just need to let let time play out, especially with Fabled and Whispers in the Well. Should the game see some sort of like massive growth cycle and prices just shoot up like crazy, they have a responsibility to get these cards in players' hands. And unless they do some sort of like new product that they haven't done in the past, the only way to do that is to print more booster boxes, print more of these set cards, right? Because keep in mind that this is a trading card game. People are trying to play the game. Sure, there's rarities and things like that, and there's chase cards like Enchanteds and Iconics, etc. But at the end of the day, if a deck to just like play and be good is a floor price of $500, that's not good for the ecosystem of the game, and they've got a responsibility to the players, in which all of the this is built on the back of, to be able to afford the decks. And so a set like Fabled, which was the first set post rotation, it's going to be in rotation for another I guess it's technically 24 months, but we're 3 months into that, so it's got 2 full years, right, from when it released. So we're at 20 more months of Dumbo, for example, being in rotation. Now if set 10 taught us anything, power scale is going to come up, and so therefore some of these older cards are going to get essentially they're going to become a little bit less desirable than what they are now, and so hopefully that continues to compound. But at the end of the day, really what I'm trying to illustrate with this point is if these cards get super priced up, they're going to reprint the set that they come in. Fabled could be impacted by that. Whispers in the Well could be impacted by that. And so that's why right now, while I do love a set like Fabled long term, right, like we've talked about a lot, but the iconic Minnie, the iconic Mickey, like I think these cards have tremendous long-term chase potential. Like I think they could be the Moonbryon of Lorcana or the Charizard, whatever. Like these 2 cards they are so scarce, tremendously hard pull rate, 1 in 2,000 packs. Like they've got a ton of upside, and so them being in the set obviously would kind of make it would be a step above a lot of the other sealed options within Disney Lorcana. So I love Fabled from a sealed aspect. As a collectible, right now is not that time, and I would not worry about it too much. Now with that being said, if you've got a long enough time horizon at $125 a box, I would not fault you at that price. If you wanted to set some aside. But just know that you're talking, think about it right now. First chapter is still being printed, or was just released. Not still being printed, but it's still being released in terms of that Costco bundle, and which are huge, by the way. I got a couple in, and the boxes those things are no joke. But nevertheless, we're still seeing first chapter hit the market here over 2 years after its release. So I just want everyone to keep that cognizant. There's a good chance that a Fabled booster box is the same price here for the next 12 to 24 months. I'll probably go up, go down a little bit, but it kind of depends on reprints, and we just can't see the future when it comes to that. So now let's hop over to Reign of Jafar. Set 8 for Disney Lorcana. Right now, cheapest on the market is, wow, look at that. You can get one for $84. When we look at the expected value for Reign of Jafar, $92. So this is one that has remained in the green pretty much throughout its duration. There's so many cards within Reign of Jafar that are very, very playable. And so whenever you look at the set, you're getting a box for 84, expected values 92. That's in the green. That's where we want to be opening product. In my opinion, it's got some amazing chase cards in terms of Enchanteds. Keep in mind that this is before the Iconics, but I do like Reign of Jafar Enchanteds as a whole. Some more than others. Some of my favorites would be the Jasmine, Into the Unknown. Just once again, my family, we've watched a lot of Frozen in the past. That song is that's just iconic from Frozen 2. It means no worries. Like there's just some hitters in this set that I absolutely love. And so Reign of Jafar, as I said, it's got some really cool Enchanteds in my opinion. Also has a really good booster box price as well as expected value. So can't really go wrong with Reign of Jafar. Obviously a sealed booster box at 84, very, very strong. I do think that as we get, like for example, set 5 through set 8 here, Reign of Jafar, these boxes only have another 9-ish months in rotation before they're out of rotation. And I just don't think, and this is kind of a bigger point here, we'll spend some time on, I don't think that sets 2 through 8 we're going to see any additional reprints or like supply dumps, kind of like we have with the first chapter. The first chapter absolutely had to have a reprint. the game would have gone extinct if they didn't reprint it. And they had to reprint it multiple times, but there was just a lot of demand for it. It's a brand new trading card game. It's their right to do it. They had to do it. In terms of lease packs still coming out after making that statement, I would have probably communicated that differently. I know a lot of you were very upset about that. But whenever we look at Rise of the Floodborn through Reign of Jafar, as these sets get rotated out, thinking about sets 5 through set 8, I just don't think there's a world where they're going to need to be reprinted. None of these sets have had the just mass adoption that the first chapter has had. A lot of people only collect the first chapter. A lot of people only want the first chapter. I think there's a lot of really good sets at set 2 through 8, but I'm a little bit farther down the rabbit hole. So I think that we just haven't seen any need for those sets to be reprinted. We have seen them kind of put those packs into ancillary products like the Lilo gift box and the Elsa gift box, kind of do that pack assortment. But I think that's their version of getting rid of their extra packs that they have of these sets. Versus, when you think about like the Costco bundle that they did with the first chapter packs, just like 6 loose packs, all printed in 2024. Very similar vibes when I see like the Elsa gift box and the Lilo gift box of sets 2 through 8, that they're kind of getting rid of their extra stock there. And I just don't think we're going to see another booster box run of these sets. And so, getting a sealed booster box at $80, it's a really, really strong entry price when you think about it from a long-term collectible, but it's just in a really, really good spot to open it. It's very rare in trading cards that you can get a box for less than what the expected value is, right? And so my recommendation with Reign of Jafar would definitely be to open it. But look, an $80 booster box, that's in today's economy, that's a rarity. So I wouldn't fault anyone necessarily for keeping it sealed. We are going to hop over to Arcasia's Island here to look at the booster box price. And then we'll do the expected value here. A booster box for Arcasia's Island is $87. Expected value for this set is right at 75. So once again, not bad, not as good as Reign of Jafar. You're a little bit in the red there, but not bad whatsoever. This is an amazing set. Has one of my, we'll just look at the set as a whole, has some of my favorite chase cards in terms of just enchanted overall. I've talked about them on the channel ad nauseum, and I know a lot of you probably are like, all right, dude, shut up. You talk about the same cards every time. But the Tamatoa, I just said absolutely. I finally going to send my cards off to grading here. I've been waiting to see if we're going to get any price reprieve here. But one of my favorite cards in my collection is one that I actually had sent to the artist of the card. She doodled on it for us. She wrote us a nice note. And she's even got some... Oh, I might mess up my camera here. Maybe not. She wrote us a nice note. She's got some children's illustration books. You can't even see it on Amazon. But this card just, the Tamatoa, always, it makes me happy. Happy as a clam. That's the subtitle of the card. That's my subtitle when I look at the card. But this Arcasia's Island just has some really, really awesome just an enchanted roster from top to bottom. I think it's got some really, really good cards. So I'm a massive fan of that set. Expected value not too far behind the actual booster box value. Not the highest by any means. But that is where we're at for that. I'm going to give you the rest of the expected value, and we'll shoot through the booster box prices since I've been rambling quite a bit here. Azurite Sea is sitting at $72. Shimmering Skies is sitting at $61. Ursula's Return at $27, Into the Inklings at $24, Rise of the Floodborn at $40, and First Chapter sitting at $91. And so we'll look at all of the booster boxes here as a whole as we kind of go through these. But just keep in mind that we whenever we're talking about some of these older sets, right, that I just went through there, probably in our best interest to keep these boxes sealed. So whenever we look at, sorry, not a case, but a box of the First Chapter, lowest on the market is about 30 or right around 300. Still, last 3 months, still selling at 10 boxes per day, 260 on the market, very, very high sell-through rate despite and it slowed as of late due to the release of the Costco product, but no major price depreciation whatsoever. Still holding strong at around 300, but with an expected value of $100, guys. Like this box, it's just a collectible at this point. Now look, if you want to open it right and you've got $300 to burn, go for it. It's an awesome set to open. I would advise going to Costco and maybe getting that product or buying something else. But if you're into the booster box game and you want to open it, you know, that's a $300 box right there that just unless you pull the Elsa or one of the other high enchanteds, which are very, very rare, you're not going to pull them. That box that you're staring at, that's the first chapter. It doesn't have the Elsa in it. Let me just burst that bubble right now. So I would just advise first chapter, best to remain sealed here, despite what that box is, telling you over your shoulder, telling you to rip it because it's got an Elsa in it. Let me just get rid of the, the foreshadowing. It does not. Moving over to Rise of the Floodborn here, set to $155 for a sealed box, man. We've been at like $150 for Rise of the Floodborn for it feels like a year. Got up to, $170, dipped back down a little bit. I can't remember if they did a little bit of a restock here or what exactly happened, to be completely honest. Creeping back up to $150, but expected value at $40. Keepless baby sealed. It's obviously not near as bad as the as first chapter, right? So if you wanted to open one and chase a Cindy, I mean, okay, but I cannot tell you, I cannot advise that by any stretch. Moving over to Into the Inklings here. Look, Into the Inklings. Here, let's look up the price. Because I'm curious. I think it was down around like 60 or 70, but actually started kind of like picking up steam, which, for those of us who've been around a while, Into the Inklings booster box, even at $80 is, these were at $5 bin stores. So, truthfully, quite the comeback for Into the Inklings, but nevertheless, an $80 box and $24 expected value, best left sealed. Let's leave that. Let's leave Into the Inklings. Honestly, it doesn't have the worst enchanteds. There's some okay ones, but it's just not the best set, and definitely the most printed set, or up there with the most printed sets. We are at 78 for Ursula's Return, expected value of 27. Once again, if you feel so inclined to open it, okay. In my opinion, best left sealed, and then Shimmering Skies. Our box price is at $120 for Shimmering Skies. Not a bad little uptick there. Expected value at 61. So once again, price is pretty much double what the expected value is. If you're a player and you need these cards, go out and buy your singles. Apart from that, this box, probably best left sealed. I do love the enchanted roster of Shimmering Skies. It's got one of the best enchanted, just like enchanteds in my opinion, with the Mufasa Ruler of Pride Rock. You can get a light played for $150. What's a near mint these days? About $165. Not a bad card for $165. Awesome character, awesome art. They did a great job on that card. Just one of the best ones in my honest opinion. So that's where we're at thus far. So I think we didn't talk about Azurite Sea, but it's at a $71 expected value. So we'll take a look at that real quick, I suppose. Enchanteds in this set are kind of nothing burger. They make up the least value of any set. Enchanteds for this set only make up 16% of the overall value. A box is $100. I mean, dealer's choice with Azurite Sea. I don't really have a preference. It was not my favorite set, and it's just not the enchanteds for Azurite Sea. They swung and they missed, but hey, at least they swung. You miss every shot you don't take, they say. So that is kind of where we're at in terms of just like overall, investing in Disney Lorcana, guys. This is, it's, as I've caught wind of some Pokemon things kind of coming back, prices coming back to normal a little bit. And the good thing about Disney Lorcana is we haven't really seen any massive wave of growth apart from, the first chapter, which it takes a reprint every time to kind of get it to go back down. But everything else has been kind of steady. Even looking at, once again, something like Inklings. Like Inklings for a while were down around like 30, 40, $50. And now it's up to 70. A lot of these things are very, very steady. Sell-through rates on things like the first chapter or Fabled, some of the bigger sets, even Rise of the Floodborn. It's obviously not to the same degree, but things are trending in the right direction. The health of the game is very, very strong, right? You see that with Whispers in the Well, with the box price holding very, very steady, expected value holding very, very steady. And I expect that to continue. Hopefully they they take these. The great thing about Ravensburger is they constantly are listening to us and adapting, right? So it used to just be enchanteds, and then they adopt their strategy to do, you know, iconics and epics as well as enchanteds to get to just kind of increase that booster pack opening experience. Hopefully they continue to adapt on that. We're getting the Whisper foil and Whisper art, which is really, really cool. Hopefully they continue to adapt. Hopefully they continue to get better. They have constantly listened to feedback. They've recently been putting out surveys for everyone to give their opinion. Hopefully you guys are doing that right, as I know the player community and the collector community are both very vocal, whether it's on the weekly Lorecast, whether it's on, you know, social media channels, etc. Hopefully whenever they give you this, hey, give us your direct feedback, you guys are taking advantage of that and filling out the survey and giving them your honest thoughts, so that way they can continue to cater to your specific needs better and better. But they've always adapted. They've increased the booster pack opening experience. DLCs are rocking and rolling now. Obviously, hopefully we're looking for more in season 3. But yeah, overall, I think the health of the game is in a very, very good spot. Whispers in the Well is a very, very much needed, refreshing set for the game, and I'm loving collecting as much as I ever have. It's nice not to, look, cards in Lorcana, they're not cheap by any means. There's plenty of cards that are 20,000. There's plenty of cards that are 20 cents, right? And so I guess what I'll leave you guys on is like the days of set collecting, I feel like, are just done. And this is someone who I collected the first 4 sets, every single card, non-foil, foil, enchanted, in a binder. Like I did the first year of complete set binders. And I just feel like, especially with a game like Lorcana, where so much of the card's value is its utility in the game, and that's what dictates its price. Like you might, in set 4, like Diablo was a $40 to $50 legendary. So if you wanted to get a non-foil Diablo, let's just say $40. If you want to get a foil Diablo, you're looking probably closer to like 60 to 70. If you want to get an enchanted Diablo, you're looking at like 300. But those cards now you maybe spent $450 on them at the time. They might be worth like $150 total right now. And so like the idea of like set collecting these new sets just is, if you enjoy it and you love it, and that I love a good binder, right? Like, I'm not trying to talk you out of how you want to collect, but from a pure financial, just literate perspective, collecting these master sets, I feel like just is not the play anymore. And that's why, when I talk about our fundamentals and Irrelevant being a big piece of it, like it's honestly the most important factor in a lot of times. Like right now, don't be going out and buying a Dumbo Enchanted or, whatever, is the hot new craze in terms of these enchanteds, because better times are ahead. And we've seen it time and time again. Use Diablo as an example. That card was $300 for a long time in terms of the enchanted card. And it's nowhere near that now, and that's because it's not being used in the game. Now, I am excited to see what happens with this Infinity tournament that's coming up in December, if that has any impact on some of our old enchanteds. I'm very excited to see what the market does there, and if people are going to be looking to bling out their decks for the Infinity format. And how many of those old cards are even going to be used, right? Like the Along Came Zeus's of the world, or Diablo, or whatever it is. I'm excited to see what type of bounce back our older enchanteds have. But nevertheless, that's where we're at for today's video. Thank you very much for watching, and we will be back with another video soon. Bye, guys.